Welcome to the Date Forever podcast. Keep your relationship fueled up with strategies discovered by couples and experts. Because at Fuel Collective, we believe better relationships will equal a better world. You are about to discover specific insights and tools that cost little or nothing to implement to help you date forever. And now, here are your hosts, a couple who always have a half-packed suitcase and a date night in the calendar, Sammy and Nathan Yeager.
Hello and welcome to Date Forever. In this week's episode, we're chatting about the 4 needs languages and understanding which are yours, the victim-predator rescuer triangle, and dating with a disability. But before we dive into that, Sammy, what's been fueling you up this week?
I can already feel you saying, oh, that was my fuel up too.
Don't steal it.
We had such a nice day together on Friday, and we had our same page meeting, which we do every month. And we kind of just checked back in on our goals for 2022, what was on track, what was off track, and what needs to be a bit of a focus area for the next kind of season. But the thing that was really fueled me up, that topped me up and helped me feel a bit more connected and aligned with you. Yeah. But then we got free tickets to the cabaret.
How good.
Surprise free tickets. And it was so fun. So fun. I love cabaret. I love dirty cabaret. I love live performance. And it was honestly so great. If anyone gets a chance to go see Bernie Dieter. That was the name of the show?
Yeah. Bernie Dieter's Cabaret.
I think it's a German group, but they travel all over the world. So much fun. And it was really nice you got pulled on stage.
I did get pulled on stage.
Luckily,
I kept my clothes on.
You did,
unlike some of the other performers.
Yeah, but it was just really fun date night out, and I feel like we hadn't done that for a little while. So that's what fueled me up the most. What about you?
That was definitely one of them. But one of my other ones was actually something else that we did on Friday, which was a little bit of retail therapy.
We did do that.
Yeah. I think you did a little bit more on Saturday again. But it was just one of those things where wardrobe was feeling a little bit drab, and it was definitely time to level up a little bit and just buy some clothes that I feel really good in. So yeah, it was really nice.
And you look good.
I haven't busted out too much of it yet. So yeah.
That was actually my other fuel up. Was I got a treatment done on my hair and a fresh haircut, and that teamed with a couple of new pieces of clothing. Outside feeling good, inside feeling good, relationship with self topped up.
Yeah, feeling fueled up. So now let's dive into this week's episode.
Today we've got Nicole Shir joining us. She has a degree in workplace psychology, is the author of a booklet series including the needs languages, bringing balance and belonging into dating and in romantic relationships. She is the creator of 7 Candles, where she has developed a powerful tool that helps personalities communicate. Nicole's dream is for you to find belonging, to be seen, to feel in control over your environment, to be respected in your beliefs, and to find balance in expressing and listening to others. Welcome to the show, Nicole.
Hi, I'm excited to be here.
So, Nicole, to kick this off, I would love to know, how did you get interested in relationships?
So, I think the best way to describe this is that every time I was doing college, I would see that nothing was connected, and it drove me crazy. I would go to the business school and I would say, okay, don't you guys want to add conflict resolution? How come people aren't doing this with we don't do, that's social. Huh? And then when I was doing my master's, I was like, leadership with conflict, we don't combine. What? And I was studying personality, and I was like, don't you do communication with personality models? I was like, what's going on here? And now I know with workplace psychology, if you don't have your outside life taken care of, it's not going to happen. I mean, everything's going to fall apart. And one of the things I noticed is we are not given skills in our world. Nobody sits down and teaches us how to communicate with our personalities. That was a big thing. And no one's giving us these conflict resolution skills. On top of that, no one is teaching us how to design our ideal person. And I actually designed my ideal person. And it was really funny when we met. I had the list of what I wanted in an ideal person, and they were looking at the list. I said, don't look at that. And they go, that's me, every single thing. And what happens is if we don't put our intention out of what we want and we don't learn who we are and how our personality communicates, we're going to have some serious problems. And I think that's the biggest thing is knowing who you are, how your personality communicates is going to help you. And as children, we know this. As adults, we start to lose it. And we're noticing that there's certain age groups more than ever that have a harder time accepting who they are, and other age groups that don't have as much of a problem accepting who they are. It's very fascinating.
Oh, there's a few things I want to ask you about in there, but I want to echo something that you said right at the beginning about that if you're having trouble in your romantic relationship, it's really hard to show up as your best self in the workplace. And Nathan and I so believe that. And that's one of the reasons that we even started Fuel Collective and the Date Forever podcast was this belief that if we all have better relationships, we'll create a better world because we can show up and bring our best selves and our gifts to the world. So I love that you feel that too. So obviously workplaces are made up of people. They're made up of human beings and systems and processes and machines and all of those things. But really at the core of it, it's human beings trying to achieve a common goal of some sort. And hopefully they're playing on the same team, which is so similar to a relationship that hopefully you've got some people who are working towards common goals and are coming at things from the same team. So in your intro, we talked a little bit about like these needs languages. What is that?
So basically what we found was that Jung and Hippocrates had already done the foundation for personalities. What we found is for communication, nonviolent communication, Marshall Rosenberg had already done a lot of this foundational work about communicating your needs. The difference was that they hadn't combined the research and the words were outdated. So what are some common patterns and common things that people do that are very similar to what that research already shows? And what we found was that people basically have these 4 things, and we're 2 out of the 4. And I'm just going to break it down very simple. And again, there's much more to this, but we communicate in 2 out of these 4. Right, where we have to feel right, wrong, good, bad. When we lock in that belief, and you know people who are right people.
Yeah, definitely.
Control about the environment. They like their environment a certain way everywhere they go. Important people, very goal driven. I mean, they're very focused, but they tend to be seen everywhere they go. No matter what they do, they'll draw some sort of attention to themselves. And then value people. They are a lot of times, they can't make a decision unless they can figure out if it costs or benefit. I like to call them the Jungle Book birds from the old Jungle Book. It's Mowgli and what do you want to do? I don't know. What do you want to do tonight? I don't know. No, don't start that again. They cannot make a decision for the life of them if they can't see a cost or benefit. And so when we speak 1 or 2 of these, like I said, we're 2 out of the 4, it creates a little different of a combo. One can be more dominant. One can be more hidden. You know, we can present one more than the other, but we are always communicating this. And if we speak opposite, we may be struggling with each other. Or if we come in a relationship where, like, my partner tried to speak control to my important and it didn't go well. Because importance, I'm in a race. I'm going to win the prize. I don't care what you say. Don't you dare stop me. And they're trying to control me from winning the prize. And I don't care. I'm in flip-flops. I'm running the race. I'm going through the blackberry bushes. I'm so focused on that goal. And they're like, oh my God, what are you about ready to do? You're going to mess with my environment. Oh, don't you dare do that. But when they spoke value to my value and showed me the cost was greater than the benefit, I could sit back and go, oh, that's not a good idea. Oh, I don't think that's a good idea. And I changed my perspective and I did something different.
So Nicole, which 2 are you?
I'm important value and my partner's control value. So when we're in a romantic relationship, we meet our person in one that's the same and one that's different.
So if this is a new concept for people, how can they actually go about understanding what their 2 dominant needs languages might be?
We're going to do things that are going to show us a lot of times by the words we speak, by the actions we do. I was on an escalator at a convention. This girl was on the escalator and go clickety clack with her. She's like, I'm so sorry. I'm like, okay, that's important. I mean, it's just important. I just can tell. She's just drawing attention to herself. Doesn't really mean to, the music stops and all of a sudden you say something, darn it, I did it again. That's going to be more of an important trait. Control is going to be you just know you want your environment a certain way. I mean, you just know. And right, you really are a thinker. Maybe more of a thinker. You know you want something, it's right, wrong, you're about good or bad. When you're a right person, you tend to take a little longer to process the information. It takes you a while to change your mind. Value people tend to be a little more reserved. They're more feelers. You tend to be a little more emotional, sensitive a lot of times. And again, when I say these things, we need all of them. It's so important to have, or vital to have, all of them, because they all play a factor in our world. A lot of times I found as people get older, they're like, I don't want to be right. The right people are so off-putting. And I'm like, no, they aren't when they're balanced. Because when you're balanced in your personality, you can create that belonging. And just like you don't want an important person to be off balance, because it's like, oh my gosh, what did you do again? We all need each other. So there are certain things you'll know that it takes you a harder time to change your mind on something. That's going to be more right tendency.
So where did these 4 quadrants or concepts kind of come from? How did you shake them out?
Well, we went to Jung and Hippocrates and really looked at that. And then we started really noticing patterns people were doing, words people were speaking, and just how people interacted with each other. We noticed that important right people were going to be more your flamboyant type people, the way they showed up. Your control values were more quiet and reserved people. They would sit back and they'd watch more of what was going on in the room. But the important right people, they were there. They're going to tell you how it's going to be, and they're going to be more, maybe a little more impulsive and more showing their opinions and how they felt about things. And so we started to see these patterns in even how they spoke, and how, a control value person, they didn't speak the same language. I would be in a meeting and I actually was listening to someone talk, and they were a control value, and I could hear by the way they were talking, everything was about cost and benefit and the environment. And this other person says, okay, is insights the same as value? And they go, well, yeah, they're the same. Well, insight is a thinking word, which is a right word, and value is a cost benefit word. And the other person couldn't grasp it because it was different language. And so they were either a right control or a right important, because they couldn't grasp the language. So they were talking at each other.
So how does knowing this about yourself and hopefully knowing this about your person help you have a better relationship?
Oh my gosh, it can help so much. Because so my person is a control value. They do not like to be seen. I need to be seen. My subconscious mind will create it to happen everywhere I go. It can cause a conflict if you're with someone who doesn't want to be seen. Or if you're with someone who wants to be seen, now you both are fighting in your importance. So you have to find balance. So this becomes a conflict. So now you have to resolve the conflict. So we can actually have a crucial conversation without feelings getting hurt. Hey, Nicole, I know you're going to need to be seen in this environment. How can I position myself so that I know I can still maintain my environment the way I need it to be? Or, Nicole, you embarrassed me in this environment. So you have two importance. How do they not compete in being seen? How do they support each other in being seen?
So using one of our celebrity couples, can we assume that probably Kim Kardashian and Kanye West are both important people?
It can happen that way, yeah.
And that maybe has influenced the demise of their relationship?
Oh, it can. It totally can. If you have a control important and a right important, and the control important isn't able to control their environment because the right important is saying, nope, I need my right to be a certain way because I'm right, and your control over my environment isn't going to work because it's going to mess with my right. That's not going to work.
Yeah, interesting. So one of the things that's coming to mind is obviously we talk to a lot of couples and we're in that kind of relationship space. And there's so many things that sort of show up that maybe with a framework like this, we could better understand. And something that's coming to mind for me is the big, grand, in public engagement proposal. That some people are all about that and would absolutely just melt and head over heels, would love that. And there's other people who are just so far the opposite and would just be like, that would be mortifying. If my person did that, I would know that they're not the right person because they don't even know that about me, that I would hate that. So I can see how having a framework kind of would remove a little bit of guesswork from, you know, how we conduct ourselves in our relationship and how to meet the needs of ourselves, but also our partner. So is there like a cool diagnostic quiz or something that we can do to figure this out?
I have it up on my website, the7candles.com.
Perfect. Awesome. I'm going to go and take this and figure out. I have a hunch about what you are. Do you have a hunch about what I am?
I think so. I think I've got a hunch about what I am as well.
Interesting.
So where do you two think you meet?
I think I'm probably right and value.
Value.
Is that what you would have said I was?
Yeah. Nath loves a bit of rules and.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
I think I'm probably value. Well, maybe not.
Where do you think you meet each other in? What do you think you're the same?
I don't know. What if we're not?
I don't know, actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
One that's the same.
I think I'm harder to diagnose because I'm a bit inconsistent.
Yeah. Well, I think control could definitely be one for you because...
I like things how I like things.
Yeah. Well, I think like even just your previous career in event management, it was like you line up all of the ducks and...
Yeah, I do have a very... if I'm saying yes to this, what am I saying no to type approach to things. So perhaps that's what it is. So Nicole, we know that you recently did a TED Talk. Tell us, what was your big idea worth spreading?
I did basically communication, dating shows, and I did about disabilities in dating and what the struggle was and this communication model. Because there are a lot of people are struggling with disabilities in dating. And that's something that a lot of people aren't talking about, because how do you navigate that? How do you navigate when you have a disability and when do you share? And I shared a very challenging story that I'd interviewed someone where she had discovered at 18 she had epilepsy, and she had had an accident of wetting herself during a date. And what do you do when that happens? And so that's a really challenging place to be. And there's a lot of people who are struggling with navigating, mental health. And you can be a happy, functioning person and you have mental health issues. And how do you now navigate a relationship?
Mm-hmm. Or how do you, especially the early stages of a relationship where you haven't got the goodwill built up yet to go, I'm just having a black dog day, but for them that ratio looks like 50% of your days have been black dog days, where in reality it might have only been, a blip on the radar. So do you have any advice or recommendations for people who are experiencing some difficulties dating or meeting people or connecting with others because of some barriers from disability or just not being quote unquote normal?
I think a lot of it is we have to understand that each of us has some sort of struggle. Each of us has some sort of challenge. And we have to know where our barriers are, our personal barriers, and where our abilities are. And I think also the needs languages can help with that because, for example, I know as an important person, I'm very goal driven. I can be very focused. So where are my challenges and where do I overcome? And where can I be that for someone else? And where can someone else be that for me? So when you know who you are and you know your giftings, you know where you can be a support system to someone else and where someone else can be a support system for you. And I think that's the greatest thing. And don't judge. I mean, we all have our challenges. We all have our struggles. And you may end up being with someone who is in a wheelchair that could be the best person for you, or someone who has a sight impairment that will love you like you've never been loved before. And it can be the best relationship. And people who have disabilities are not a burden. And this is something I said in my talk. We have sex like everyone else does. Everybody can have sex. Just because a person has a disability and is in a wheelchair doesn't mean that you can't get on top and ride. People can have sex. And so just be open to that. I'm big on diversity, equity, and inclusion in my career. When you're open to that, you can find things that you would be blown away with about partnership. And you may end up in some of the best relationships. So give it a chance and just be open to dating. If you are, you're in relationships right now. You talk about relationships, but if you have friends who are single, tell them be open to it. Or if something happens to your partner, stick with them.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know that has definitely happened for a few of our friends as well, where it might just be a medical challenge or something like that, that it is a life-changing thing that has happened to them. Yeah, and it is really nice to see how some of those people have navigated some of those challenges and really come out stronger because of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Nicole, you mentioned that you have a partner and you're on the Date Forever podcast. We would love to know, what are some of the things that you do in your own relationship to keep it fueled up?
Oh my gosh. We have a lot of humor.
Yeah.
That's the one thing that we're very, very good about is we laugh a lot. And we know where we're different. We know how to make it work in that aspect. And I got to tell you that this communication model has really, really helped. I mean, really helped. I've been blown away at how knowing the victim, rescuer, predator triangle, having the conflict resolution skills. Oh my gosh, I would recommend that for everybody in relationships.
Can you touch on those conflict resolution skills a little bit more?
Yeah, so conflict resolution skills just have to do with where we are learning not to attack each other and just saying, this is what my need is and this is what your need is. This is how we navigate it. And when things happen, we go back to the drawing board and we say, these are the challenges. The victim, rescuer, predator triangle is probably one of the biggest things, is we are becoming aware of trying not to bring each other into that. I recently was very bad. And I had several months ago, because I'm doing a lot with creating this business, and I was just having a bad day. And they said, you're bringing me into the triangle, Nicole. I'm not participating. And I said, I am. I can't. I'm really sorry. And just even having that language, having code words like that is so important. We have this code thing about mashed potatoes. Okay, so we see this as we're in a buffet or we're in a picnic and we have paper plate. And you put too many mashed potatoes on, the plate falls everywhere. That means we've got too much on our plate and we're too overwhelmed and we're emotionally exhausted and we couldn't handle anything anymore. So, Nicole, you have too many mashed potatoes on your plate, didn't you? And that is a code saying, hey, we're getting too much going on here.
Yeah.
It's a really nice internal kind of language that you've developed for your relationship. I want to go back to the drama triangle. And if someone's not familiar with this, you mentioned the 3 roles of the persecutor, the rescuer, and the victim. Can you tell us a little bit about each of those 3?
So I learned it a little bit different. I learned it as the rescuer, predator, and the victim.
Okay.
And what it is we all have had an experience of this in our lives. Everyone has been victimized. To the level is just dependent on the person. And when we enter this triangle, when we are in relationships, if something's happening, we can become the predator very, very easily by saying, you did this to me, and now I'm going to make you be my victim. Or we're trying to say, I'm going to rescue you because I feel really bad that you're in this situation. And so now we're making them also be the victim because we're trying to rescue them from the situation they're in.
And it's just a bad self-fulfilling prophecy, isn't it, then, too? Like, once you become the victim, and like you said, then you can take out your anger and become the persecutor very quickly. Or on the flip side, become the rescuer to try and save the situation. But really, you might just be hiding some of the pain that you're dealing with as well. So,
and the trouble when someone has a favorite one of the 3 that they want to gravitate to. So, Nicole, from all of your work with people in workplaces and in relationships, what are some of the skills or things that you would recommend that couples in particular and couples who are in the first few years of their relationship really zone in on working on and mastering?
I would say the biggest thing to master is knowing yourself. Because once you know who you are, knowing what you want, you're able to communicate it. Don't change the other person. Work on yourself. Know who you are, know what your needs are, bring yourself into balance. We do too much labeling in our society, so learn who you are. Learn what your needs are. Bring yourself into balance. Like yourself. Then you can communicate what you are, who you are, what you need. And then that brings that other person to be able to do that as well. Then you can come together and work together.
Mm. In our model of the fueled up life and the fueled up relationship, we talk about that and that idea that your relationship with yourself sets the tone for every other relationship that you have. And this idea of dating forever and dating yourself forever is not just like the warm, fuzzy, taking yourself out on dates, but it's about truly, deeply knowing yourself and knowing things about like your preferred needs languages and what is your preferred working style and, you know, what environment do you thrive in? What environments do you struggle in? But like really deeply knowing like the emotions that you gravitate to, which of those 3 from the triangle is your favorite to go to, and really knowing who you are so that you can be that best version of yourself. And I think it's that idea that the better that you know yourself, the easier it is to be yourself.
Yeah, definitely.
Hey, Nicole, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been a really nice conversation. To say thank you, we've provided a school uniform to a child in Cambodia. So this is a really special project because in Cambodia, schooling is free, but the family needs to provide that uniform and some of them just can't. And they've got other priorities like shelter and things like that. So we want to say thank you so much for joining us. And that's been possible via our partnership with Buy One, Give One. So thank you.
That's awesome. And you guys, you all are so amazing. I just appreciate being here. This was exciting for me. I was really looking forward to this. This is just amazing.
No worries. So, Nicole, if people want to connect with you or learn a little bit more about what you do, how can they do that?
I have a website called the7candles.com, and you have to put the in front of it. I also have a Facebook page called The 7 Candles, Instagram, The 7 Candles, and LinkedIn is under Nicole Shir. I also have The 7 Candles under LinkedIn. Everything's either Nicole Shir or The 7 Candles. Pretty easy. But make sure you put the in front of The 7 Candles.
Yeah,
awesome.
beautiful.
Thanks, Nicole.
Perfect.
Thanks heaps for joining us. If you love what we're doing here and want more, subscribe to the Date Forever podcast to make sure you never miss an ep. Come and hang out with us and other awesome couples who are fueling up their relationships in the Thriving Couples Collective Facebook group, or check us out at fuelcollective.com.au. Until next time, keep on dating, because better relationships equal a better world.